Three, two, one, and we are live. Hi, Peter. How are you?
Hi, Joe. Hi. Perfect. You okay?
Yes, doing great. Thanks for coming. Let me do a
My
little
pleasure.
intro, and then we'll get going, okay?
Perfect. Yeah.
So welcome people who are watching on Facebook. We are the ISPWP, the International Society of Professional Wedding Photographers, of which Peter is one of our members and an award-winning member at that. We are a worldwide organization of the world's best wedding photographers. Every member is both reviewed and voted in by their peers. So if you're looking for a world-class photographer for your wedding, please visit ispwp.com and find your photographer. And today we are talking with, now I'm going to say Petr Pelucha, but I know that's the English pronunciation. So,
That's perfect.
okay, we'll go with that one for now. And Peter, you and Zina, your wife, both shoot
Yes.
for your business in Prague, right?
Well, nowadays I'm the only shooter because Zina is taking care about our children.
Okay, so you're the sole shooter right now. Do you always shoot solo, or do you have another
I
photographer with you?
Well, it depends on the wedding, but I always tend to have an assistant at least. And if the wedding is large and the clients ask for a second photographer, then of course we bring second photographer
Okay.
and whoever is needed.
Okay, great.
Yes.
So why don't we start by just some of your background? So how did you get into wedding photography? How long have you been doing it? Give us some of your background.
There's a quite long story that started sometimes in the time when the twins fell down, actually. In that time I moved to London. I took there a picture of the ducks above the lake, and one of my friend Karen told me that I have a talent. So I said, okay, yes, of course, sure. But anyway, after some time, I find myself in a private photography school doing a manager there, and I was talking to all the photographers who were doing a lot of workshops there and all the things. And they were always like, it's quite hard now in the business of photography generally, because everybody's got a digital camera and everybody can photograph. And I said, well, but if you do something well and with all the heart you have and all the skills, then I believe you can be successful even in photography. And I said, yes, blah blah blah. It's easy for you to say because you are, the employee. And I said, well, you see, blah blah blah. Sometime I quit the job in the ISPWP, so-called private photography school, and I found myself as a student of a university, of Charles University, just finishing my graduates from physical education and sports.
Okay.
But in that time, I decided that I will be a professional photographer, just to prove that it is possible to do what you want. And if you work hard enough, then, well, it works. It works.
But so there must have been something in you when you took that first photo of the ducks, the famous duck photo. Did you have like photography as a hobby, or just a once in a while
Yes,
type thing before that, or?
exactly. In that time, it was the hobby. So I was learning the things, from YouTube, the general things. Also, as I was in the photography school, I was close to a lot of great photographers from Czech Republic, and some were the artist ones, some were the let's say craftsmen, and other ones were just great editors or whatever. So I had a huge bunch of photographers around me, so I was able to learn from them. As well, that was the most important on the end. I found the creative life, and that was the biggest source of information for me. And I'm still grateful for this program, because the people who were teaching there, as Jasmine Starr or Sal Sinkota, they were for me really a huge inspiration, and they gave me a lot of information that helped me to start the wedding photography business in Prague, just from the scratch. And yes, it took a lot of time of just shooting whatever, just to know the craft, because I think that is quite important, on the beginning, to know the craft. to know how to take the picture in whatever scenario or light or whatever. And later on, you can involve into a professional shooter, I would say. But of course, there's plenty of ways how to become a wedding photographer. So this is just my way.
Right. Well, you could argue that there's better ways and worse ways. I think you took a pretty good path. What would you say regarding craftsmanship? Talk a little bit more about that. What do you mean by craftsmanship, and how do you think someone who's like you has a hobby of photography, how would they develop that craftsmanship to a higher level?
Well, first of all, I think are the basic things, how to make the right exposition. That's generally the ISO, shutter speed, and the aperture. When you know how these three things work together, then it allows you to think more rapidly, more quickly in the situations. And of course, if you practice enough with all the combinations of making the right composure for the picture, then also it helps you in the situation when you just don't have time to be thinking how to do the picture. You just do it automatically. But it means that you have to practice a lot on the beginning. I think it's as any other craft. If you practice the right things properly and long enough, then you can become a master, so-called, or something. But if you just find yourself holding a camera on the auto mode, well, of course you can take a great picture, but I would be a little bit afraid that in some situations your camera and you will be confused what's going on, and you might fail. And when you failed, then perhaps your client will not be very happy. So I'm trying to avoid this situation as much as possible.
Yeah, I think that's one of the things that separates the professionals is the camera becomes an extension of your brain, becomes an extension of your vision. You know exactly the type of image you're trying to get, and you know almost instinctively how to get that out of your camera. Whereas someone who has not developed the craft can't do that as well. They may still get a good picture, but it may not be exactly what they're trying to capture in their vision. Right?
Exactly. Plus, on the second line, it saves you a lot of time. Because when you are able to produce the great picture on the location, then you don't have to spend too much time in the post-production, unless you are planning to.
Yeah.
But generally, I think most of the photographers would love to shoot more and spend less time in front of the big screen at the studio.
Yeah, lots of post processing.
What
about other forms of photography besides weddings that you do? I know people say weddings can be very demanding because the typical things are you can't do it over again. You can't reshoot a lot of typical wedding moments. You have a variety of locations and lighting situations, and you're working with different personalities. So there's lots of challenges. What other types of photography do you do besides weddings?
I don't want to say I relax with portrait photography in my studio, but yes, it is a very pleasure thing for me to do a portrait in my studio, because I know the lights and I know everything here, and it's always nice and warm and no stress. I always can make the atmosphere as calm as possible.
Okay. Do you have a studio in your home, or is it like separate business?
Well, we moved recently out of the Prague, just 30 minutes from the city center, and we bought a house with a detached house that I use for the studio. So now I have a own studio, small one that hopefully will serve the local community for the needs they would enjoy.
Okay. So full indoor studio, full lighting setup, or do you do any sort of outdoor or natural light photography for portraits as well?
Well, I do all variety. Because as I learned the craft for weddings, then shooting the portraits is much easier for me, because I know how to shoot really in the rain, outside, inside, wherever, because the weddings are wherever.
Yeah. Well, if
So
you do a lot of weddings, you learn a lot. You're forced to learn a lot.
yes,
Yeah.
exactly.
So is there like a seasonal time for you for weddings versus portraits? Is there a cycle, or does it pretty much even all year?
No, it's definitely seasonal in Czech Republic and in Europe generally as well. I think most of the weddings are during the summer period. That means June, July, August, September. If I would be spreading it to the end, of course, there's a great increase of weddings in May because as the climate is changing, I guess. Also, it's the weather in May is already pleasing generally, so there's more and more weddings in May as well. But of course, over the winter time, January, February, there is just a few weddings.
Sure. Okay.
So
Typical
that
with
time,
a lot of people, yeah. So it's good to have the portrait side to help fill in some of those slower times for weddings from a business perspective.
Yes, from the perspective of business, yes, of course, it's perfect because you can do the pre-Christmas sessions and then during the slow period, if you need, you can find yourself shooting a lot of interesting things as well, which on other hand is good because you are in the flow. And you don't forget the things so quickly.
Well, what some people do too for their slow season, if they have like winter season and they don't shoot a lot of weddings, is some of them will travel more and do more destination type weddings to warmer climates. Do you do that, or is most of your business for weddings around Prague, or do you travel?
Well, we travel definitely, but as we travel a lot before. Now I enjoy my time as much as possible with the family and traveling abroad. Yes, if the clients ask me to go abroad, I'm happy to go, but I'm not actively advertising myself as a destination wedding photographer because it takes too much time to travel. It's at least 3 or 4 days out. So. I'm not active in advertising myself as a destination wedding photographer for abroad.
Yeah, I have a lot of respect for those that can do it, but I had a hard time doing it as well.
Yeah, I believe so.
People sort of glamorize it, and they say, "Oh, it's so wonderful to be able to travel in all the time," but then they forget they're working all the time. So it's a lot of work.
Yes, it is. It's true.
So a lot of respect for them.
Yeah, but of course, also. We need to rest because the season is really hard. It's full of a lot of things, and you're going from morning till night, 3 months or 4 months in a row. Then the months around are a little bit slower, but still busy. So we are really generally happy for January and February, where we can recap, we can do some workshops, we can meet with the people, we can study, we can learn, and we can do all these things that we don't really have too much time to do over the season part.
Yeah. Well, talk about workshops then. Do you hold workshops yourself, or do you like to attend workshops, or what's your general approach to that?
Well, workshops are a great thing. When I was starting, I was literally watching hours and hours on Creative Live. So I find myself owning a lot of classes as well. And yes, on the beginning, it was a huge inspiration for me. And later during the time, it takes a really long time to find something that, that will be really inspiring from the workshops. I'm not saying now that I don't need them. I do need them. I do attend them now, but I have to be picking really the specific classes. So there's all the things I need from the workshop. So it's not a random pick. Oh, that's a wedding photography. I'm gonna go for this. On the beginning, it was the best because I was taking a lot of in, and now I'm sharing the things that I learned with generally Czech wedding photographers. So I'm holding workshops here in the studio. So yeah.
So how many workshops a year do you do typically?
Well, I'm doing 3 kinds of workshops. One is technically on focus on business and marketing of wedding photographers and freelancers generally. The other workshop is a technical workshop for the weddings. How do I shoot them? How do I approach the client? How do I communicate with the client? How do I pose them and all those things, and the post-production as well. And one last, which is quite, I don't want to say hobby one, but it's more for fun. It's just how to use the flashes outside, in the exterior. So these three, and I do them twice a year.
Okay, that's fantastic. It keeps you busy. So
yes, it does.
So people that come into, say they're coming to your workshop for the business side. So what would be some of the key lessons or the key things that they would learn from that they would come in not knowing, and then what do they come into that seminar for mostly? What's the business part that a lot of photographers seem to struggle with?
Well, it would be best to ask them, of course. Mm-hmm. But on the other hand, I think the most important thing is to realize that the photography is not something really, really special talking in a business matter. We are offering a service and products, and we need to sell them, and we need to show them. So we need to do a good marketing, and of course, we need to do a really good service and really good products. So these two things put together, and really don't be playing with yourself from my point of view as an artist, and that you are something really special. Mm-hmm. I think most of us are just really regular people who are trying to do nice pictures. And yes, of course, sometimes it happens that the picture is really, really fantastic and it can become an art. Mm-hmm. Yes, but that's, I would say, is maybe 1-2%. The rest is generally a great photography.
Yeah, it's a combination, right? So they have to be good photographers, but I think most people come into photography business as a photographers, not as business people. So
yes,
a lot of them need that business training, business coaching side of things. They love.
Yes.
Everyone loves taking pictures. Nobody loves doing their marketing or their bookkeeping or anything like that.
Yes.
Taxes.
Yeah. But if you want to be successful in the business, you have to do both. Mm-hmm. And if you are not able to do it on your own, then ask the experts. And there is a lot of agencies around you that might help you with the marketing, and I believe there will be also some people who will be happy to help you with the business side. Mm-hmm. Because on one hand, it's easier to be selling somebody else than be selling yourself. That is quite hard,
Yeah.
But
what about on the photography workshop side? So when photographers come to one of your photography-oriented workshops, mm-hmm. what would be like the most important lesson that you'd be teaching at those?
Well, sit down and think, what do you really want to do with the photography? Mm-hmm. If you want to have it as a hobby, then don't go as a pro, because it's a totally different world, I would say. Yeah. But if you want to use photography for earning money, for doing great things and serving a lot of people with something really, really beautiful, then yes, get ready and start working. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do most people that are coming to your workshops, are they typically hobbyists or beginner photographers, or is it a wide variety?
Well, I address the workshop for those who want to start the professional career in the photography. So yes, the photographers who are coming to me are mostly beginners, mm-hmm. And mostly good hobbies who want to change the hobby into the earning and business. Mm-hmm. So that's the starting point for all the photographers.
Okay. Okay. So would you say in Prague that there's a lot of photographers? Is the competition pretty deep?
Yes.
But sometimes that can be good if you have a good network of photographers to work with as well. Sometimes you don't want to view it as necessarily just competition, but also partners and
of course, right. Of course, there is a huge competition. I would say I think it's everywhere.
Everywhere.
Yeah. And I'm not complaining. It's not easy because every year millions of new stars of photographers and photography business appear on the internet.
Sure.
And but on the other hand, a lot of just disappear. So there's a certain number, but the competition is big, is a really big one. And Prague is quite attractive for a lot of destination weddings. So a lot of destination wedding photographers are going to Prague as well. So the market is quite busy. And as you said,
why do you think that is? Why do you think Prague attracts so many?
Well, it's from the history. The Prague is beautiful, and the prices of the service in Prague are not that high as in London or in Paris or in Germany, but the quality of the service is not worse. I would say, it's a fantastic standard, and yes, you can find on both sides extreme examples, but the average is quite high in Prague, and it's getting higher and higher every year. So I'm not ashamed to say that weddings in Prague are fantastic, because the locations are great. Prague is not that big, but on the other hand, it gives a lot of wonderful places to have a wedding venue with the view of the river or the castle. You can have it generally in the castle as well if you would like to. And there is a lot of beautiful chateaus, in the countryside, which are just stunning, and you can hire it for yourself. And the variety of the cost of the expenses is huge. So a lot of people can choose, and I know there's a lot of destination people coming to have a wedding here because it's perfect. Yeah. It's more convenient, and they can have a wonderful holiday for all their friends for the same money they would just have a wedding in their hometown, for example.
Yeah, that's a good point. So I see that. I see the attraction. Yeah, I always felt that a lot of Europeans photographers had an unfair advantage because they have castles and Gothic cathedrals and all these beautiful locations that other parts of the world do not have. So it's like unfair.
Well, there are other things that are unfair as well, but that's the world we live in.
That's right. That's very true. So what about your clients that come to you, seeking photography services, whether it be for portraits or for weddings? How does that typically go? I mean, how does the interaction with a client coming to you go? What type of questions do they ask? What kind of questions do you wish they would ask? What's the most sort of important information you can have a client come to you prepared with before they come to talk to you?
Well, generally it's not a big science. Most of the clients come via internet or via references. Sure. And the first thing they ask for is the pricing. Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's the 90% of the clients. The date and what is your price.
Right.
Then there is a fracture that are asking specifically for me. And they call me, Peter, please, do you have a time on this day?
Mm-hmm. Do you think those ones are coming from personal recommendations from friends or family that have used you before? Because they know.
Well, that's a huge variety. Some knows me from another wedding or from the internet, from my side. I mean, from the blog they read, or they just follow me on the Instagram or wherever. And it's a quite large platform of these people. Some just tell me, well, we found you on the Instagram and we love your job and blah blah blah, as any other.
How much do you charge?
Yes, of course, but these are generally prepared, and they know that we are not the cheapest one in Prague, and they respect the price, but they also know that they're gonna receive fantastic products with the quality photography in. So like this, and the other people, the general. Is yes, we found your website. We like your pictures. What is the price?
Mm-hmm. Right. Yeah, so what products do you provide for them? What would a typical client get? Do you always provide an album, for example? Do you provide online proofing? I'm assuming, but what's your typical package you would be delivering?
Well, the standard that we usually end up is a 30 by 30 centimeters album, Italian production, ideography or photo story. And with that comes generally all the digital negatives from all the pictures. They got online gallery. They got me as a main photographer, my assistant, and they got all the service they would need for the wedding. And then yes, we can upgrade it to the parents' albums, to the prints on the wall. We can do the slideshow of the wedding photographer, of the wedding photographs during the day. And also we have the unique experience that we are able to provide a customized album for every guest on the wedding.
Wow. Every guest
yes.
gets an album?
Yes. Well,
I've never heard of that before.
We made it to the guest unit, let's say.
Okay.
When a family comes to the wedding,
sign up for an album, right?
Yes.
They don't automatically all get one.
No. Okay. So, well, it depends on the client. Sure. If we will be paying for it, then yes, we are able to capture it. We are able to do it, and we know how to do it now. But that was one really special request, and we were really happy that we fulfilled the expectations, and they were happy.
Yeah. So I hear that a lot of photographers tell me that they have difficulty, convincing their clients to get an album because they see the expense. They say there's such a tendency now to see everything online or on your phone or on your tablet or whatever. So a lot of photographers have a little bit more difficulties convincing some of the younger clients that they need a physical album. So it sounds like you set that expectation right up front. Is that right?
Well, yes, but the easiest way to sell the album is to show the album, to bring the album to the meeting with the client. And once the client see the album, then it's really hard for him to say no. Because, you're going to get a USB with the pictures, you're going to get USB with all the pictures, but do you really want to have it just on the USB? When you're going to print it? And we know from our, history that I'm the example of not really doing my family albums regularly at all. And if somebody would do it for me, then I would be super happy.
Yeah.
So that's the wedding as well. They do have to have the pictures online as fast as possible. So we deliver the online gallery within a couple of days after the wedding, or we are able to generally do it on the wedding day as well. So we are quick on the online services, but then time flies and Instagram will disappear, Facebook will disappear.
That's the question. And that's what I always say is think 10, 15, 20 years in the future. How easy it is for you to find your wedding photos again, as opposed to the album on the bookshelf, right in your living room.
Yes, exactly. And people do understand, but because they saw a lot of albums before, and most of the albums, the photo albums, are the family albums with the really soft paper, and you go through them a couple of times, and then it's lose the glamour and anything. And if you just say, I have the album for you as well, and you say, oh, this is the imagination, I believe. But once you bring them the proper album with the really stiff pages, with the super quality of print and with the nice cover, then the client said, wow, this is really something we would like to have actually.
Okay.
We never seen it before. And the thing is, they are generally not able to do it that by themselves, because we do edit the pictures that are printed, and we do enhance them to the most beautiful as they can be.
Yeah.
And
and I think that's the value that really good photographers provide is that editing capability that most clients can't do on their own. They can't edit or adjust or improve the photos like a professional photographer that does it all the time. Most clients just don't have the skill. Not that it's their fault or anything; they just haven't put the time in or to get the training for it. So,
yes, that's right. Because back to the beginning, it's a craft. And if you are not building walls every day, you don't know that you have to do all these things.
And I think a lot of clients, since they're not in that world, maybe a lot of clients have taken a lot of photos, but not very many of them have spent hours and hours and hours in Photoshop working on the photos. So they don't necessarily see that part of it. But that's a lot of the value that professionals provide for their clients.
Exactly.
Yeah. So maybe talk about that a little bit. So talk about your post-processing process. So if a photographer who's starting to learn the business comes to you and you want to give them advice on how to approach their post-processing or some tips or tricks that they might start looking into, what would you say to them?
Well, the first thing is try to do the best picture on the location. You know, it's gonna save you the time in the post-production. In the post-production, shoot in the raw, definitely, because it gives you just the ability to get everything from the picture if you really mess it up. But even if you don't mess it up, you can do like the little tweaks with the temperature and all those things that you cannot do with JPEG, and it helps. Yes, for me generally. And then when I develop the pictures in Capture One nowadays, then I just send them to the Photoshop if it needed to be edited, and I just see what's wrong on the picture. So generally, what we edit or what we retouch are the blemishes and the things that are disturbing the pictures. And sometimes, yes, it can be another man on the picture. Is it from a session, for example, or it can be, the blemish under the eye. So we do clean the pictures. We do enhance the pictures with, whatever is needed, coloring or whatever. But to be honest, I'm trying to keep it under 2-3 minutes because the picture is done in the camera.
Yeah, that's the key.
Yeah, that's the key.
Sometimes I know photographers will try and take that approach, try and get down to 2 or 3 minutes. But then, if they say they're hero pictures or they're selected pictures, they'll take the best 5, 10, 20 pictures from the wedding that they want to put on their blog or they want to put on their marketing materials. Then they can really spend more time just on that small number of photos.
Yes, definitely, yes. Because these pictures will be always on scene. The other 800, nobody will be watching them all the time. But I'm trying. Well, my key is to get at least one picture on the wall for the wedding couple, and that picture must be, the top star.
Yeah. Well, speaking of pictures, we have a couple of pictures of yours we can look at if you don't mind going through them. I thought we could sort of discuss some of them. I'll bring up some of the
I hope I will see them.
You should be able to. Just this.
Okay. Good.
Okay, let me work with my software. Are you able to see that?
I still see you.
Oh, you still see me. Okay. Well, we're looking at your duck picture, so maybe if you want to bring up your duck picture, your first photo.
All right. Well, that's the first picture I took, and that's actually the picture that stands behind all my photography. I don't know if I wouldn't take this one. I don't know if I will be here. But this one was the one that started the photography in me. So, and it's been taken in the year when the twins fell down in autumn when I was
2001.
Yes. 2001, yes. When I was going over the St. James Park in London, and I shoot this picture with an old Canon. I believe in America it's Rebel or something, 300.
Yep.
Yes, still the not digital. It was with a set objective, with the set lens. Sorry. So nothing spectacular, but it captured the moment.
Yes, so. and you got bitten by the photography bug, as they say, and I think that's true. I think most wedding photographers don't start out shooting weddings as their first photo, right? They typically start off shooting family or shooting art or landscapes. I started just shooting, art type photos for many years, just for my own enjoyment.
Yes,
but yeah, that's very typical.
Because photography is like decathlon in sports. You need to know a lot of things to shoot a wedding. You need to know how to shoot macro, how to shoot portraits, how to shoot live photography, how to use flash, how to use the ambient light, how to be quick with the light photography and all those types of photography. And it brings really the best out of you. And it's not just, oh, you are shooting a wonderful countryside pictures, you're gonna be a great, my great wedding photographer, and I believe he won't be.
Yeah. Okay, let's look at the second picture. This is you call it the 01. This is a couple kissing with the.
Okay, I will have it. Yes.
Yeah. Now, what that obviously is some sort of church or castle in the background, right? In Prague.
Yes, exactly. This is the Prague castle. This picture was shot in a very beautiful day, sometimes on the beginning of October, and it was really the day when you really, really don't want to go out. It's been raining, snowing, it's been everything, windy, cold, just rubbish weather. And I remember meeting this wife, or the bride, and she said, oh, it's going to be wonderful, the leaves are colorful, and it's going to be a great day, sunny. And I said, yeah, absolutely, definitely. And then it was this really not nice day. But I used the speed light from the umbrella on the remote control, TTL, with the long lens, so there's a compression. And they were standing literally on the bridge, and the cars, you can't see the cars, but they are just below them. So it shot slightly from under view up. And yeah, I mean, the expression of the two is the key.
Well, it's also a trick for the photographer to pick the right lens and the right angle. So you're cropping out in the camera all the the cars and all the extra parts that you don't want to be seeing.
Yes, exactly. Plus, the good thing about this picture is also that the kiss is just they are up to be kissing, not kissing yet. So it brings a bit of tension in the picture. That's also one of the good things. Good.
Okay.
Then
let's go to picture 02 with
right. Yellow caps behind them.
Yellow caps. Let's talk about this.
Well, this one was taken again on a very rainy day, not a good one. But it is just a candid picture when the couple was passing on the zebra, and I told them, hey, just have a kiss. And luckily the cars were behind them, so they make this lighting from behind them. So there is no flash, nothing. It's just
you didn't add a flash here. That's from the
No. Yeah, those are the cars behind.
Oh, that's the car light coming back. Oh, I see.
Yes. So there is just ambient light.
Now,
rainy.
Was this taken on a wedding day, or do you do photo sessions like before or after the wedding day?
We do both, but this one was taken on the wedding day. The guests are standing on side of the road.
Oh, okay. I do know that in some markets, I know, well, maybe it's not true for everybody in the location, but some Australian photographers and others, they build into the schedule of the day you have the getting ready, and then you have the ceremony, and then maybe you have the family and formal pictures, and then they'll block off 3 or 4 hours to go and drive around the city to different locations for a long portrait session. So the guests either go home, or they go to a restaurant, or they go get a drink, and then the reception is many hours later after this long photo session. Do you ever do anything like that?
Well, what I advise to do with our clients is to keep the session for about one and a half hour long. And the best is to find a good program for the guests as well, so they don't get bored. If you visit after the lunch, it's fantastic because everybody is happy they did get what they needed from the wedding. They were on the ceremony and they are not hungry anymore. So then they are absolutely happy if we are going for, one and a half hour of photo shoot. If the clients want to have a longer photo shoot, then we advise them to do it on a separate day. And most of the Chinese clients or Asian clients, they do tend to do the so-called pre-wedding pictures. And that is just an entire photo session, 8 hours of shooting.
Wow.
And that is a bit of
Yeah. Well, obviously not on the wedding day.
No, that's just, they come before the wedding to Prague or to any other city. And I have a program, Chasing the Sun, for example, so we do 4 hours in the sunrise and 4 hours in the sunset.
Okay.
And in summer, trust me, 4 a.m. is the sunrise, or 5 a.m. The sunset is about 10 p.m. or something. So the day long is really, the day is really long. But some of the pictures, and you will see them in the selection as well, I think they were waking up a little bit earlier.
Yeah. Well, I would imagine with Prague you have many, many locations to choose from, so you have an advantage there. Do you typically go to the same type of locations? Do you have like a maybe 5 or 10 favorite locations you always go to, or do you try to always discover something new?
Look, the thing is that the clients ask for the locations already. So what I can do is, yes, they do know what they want. And that's why they are coming to Prague, because they want to have the Prague on the background. And yes, there are some couples who just don't care, or they care on other things, and then we can go in on different locations, whatever street, whatever bar, we can do it wherever we want. But these pictures are significant for Prague, so all the pictures are generally showing some landmarks in Prague. And speaking of the advantages and disadvantages, well, one thing is the advantage of having the background, but the disadvantage of these things are that you have to be able to be shooting on this place on any light.
Right.
And there's a complication. When I'm shooting a wedding in the forest, I find myself in paradise, because I can just look at the light and okay, I can shoot it this way, and it's not the easy way, and it's good, and the pictures will be fantastic, according to the photography, light, everything.
But it's always different, because the light's always different.
Yeah. Yes. But it's easier when you can use the light in advantage. But sometimes I don't say you have to fight with the light, but if you are shooting in the midday, you have to be just able to bring your own light and just make the picture look as good as possible on any light.
Yeah, that's the key to a professional. He or she is able to adjust to whatever the situation is. Because sometimes you're stuck in not a great location, and the light's not great, and you have to make it great. That's what separates pro from the amateur.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm looking at photo number 3 here. The vertical portrait of the bride sitting on the fence.
Right. Yeah. Yes. There's a view over the river from one of the parks. This was actually very, very lovely, bright on the sunset or summertime. Just a nice portrait, I would say. I know it's on the wall of the bride, I think, in the house of the bride. So I think it's a lovely one.
Yeah. Well, and again, a good photographer would know to use those framing elements of the tree above, right?
Yes, and there's a little fill actually on this picture.
Right.
Yes.
And again, that's the craft. How do I light it? What's my lighting going to be?
That's right. Yeah.
Okay. So I'm looking at the bridal party of the men's side, the groomsmen, number 4.
Yes. Well, here is it's not always about bride. There is also the husband or the groom and the groom party. And this was just a quick shot before the wedding started, when they get ready, all the boys. And here we use the speed light flashes from, I believe, from 2 sides. But it was a really quick shot, 2-3 minutes just to set it up.
So you would set up lights on stands in here?
One is on the stand and one is held by the assistant.
Ah, okay. That's what assistants are good for. Mobile light stands.
Yes, definitely. And generally, most of the pictures are shot with one additional light. Mm-hmm. Here we use 2 lights just to make it.
Yeah. Well, the lighting's good because if you just look at it quickly, you could say, "Oh, that's light coming in from the window," right? You can't instantly tell that it's artificially lit.
Yes.
I think one thing also that's always, I guess, underappreciated is the ability to get good facial expressions on everybody in the photo. Not always easy to do. There's always one person that doesn't have the right facial expression.
Yeah. So I was really happy that these 5 boys make it really quick. There's no blinking that much, and it was great.
Yeah, looking for good expression, you're looking for good interaction between the faces.
Yes. The 2 that are talking are actually brothers, so the connection is there. So.
What about picking between, in your post-processing, picking between black and white and color? What's your thought process there? Or do you have one? Is it just instinct?
It's instinct. Let's call it instinct. Sometimes I know that this is going to be in black and white. And sometimes I wonder why. And sometimes, yes, honest, it's easier to do it black and white. Because sometimes the colors are so messed up that it's easier to keep it in black and white. But
it fixes everything. You can never go wrong in black and white. Well, maybe that's not true, but it does solve a lot of problems sometimes.
Yes, it does.
Okay, looking at number 5 with the couple under the lamppost.
Yes, so this is one of the pictures from the this is actually from post-wedding session. And this couple came from Turkey, I believe. Mm-hmm. And we were shooting this, it's about half an hour or maybe 45 minutes after the sunrise in the summer. Yes, there were about 10 people on the bridge originally. But
and you remember?
Yes, I remember because I knew that I wanted to have the clean bridge. That's why we woke up so early to have the clean bridge. And this can be called the art because it's a bit far from the reality. But not that far. The bridge as it is just clean.
Yeah, no, nice, good editing on that. It's not always easy to do. And the color tones are nice in here too.
Right. Yeah, thank you. And of course, I think behind the black lamp that is on the very front, I think behind the top of the lamp, there's maybe another 2 or 3 people hiding.
Again, another example of having nice architecture in your favor.
Yes.
Okay, and number 6, the black and white.
That's from Dubrovnik, from Croatia, I believe. And I wanted to make this picture to look just as a candid picture. Mm-hmm. It was just shot, with no tension, just there's a bride and groom walking by. So I want to have it just very simple. They are walking wherever they want, and I think. It looks like it. So
yeah, very nice tones in here too. So
and the expression of the groom is also very nice. Everything works. We can see the shoe, so there's a little bit of all these things. So it's clear.
Yep, the reveal of the shoe under the dress is very nice. What about your percentage of stage? I would imagine you would stage this insofar as you knew where you were standing. And you told the couple, I want you to walk here and go up the steps, and you would do a couple takes maybe. How often do you direct the photos versus just react or do it from a photojournalistic standpoint? What's your percentage? Because every photographer is different.
For the photo session, with the client, it always, I would say, starts with the guidance for the couple. Mm-hmm. Because very little percentage of the couples are able to pose themselves or present themselves as they would like to. Most of them are just, please, make it easy. If you can guide us, it would be the best. And we do guide them, and we just, we tell them, it's just simple. Just walk nice and easy, straight over here. If you walk, please talk about some nice things, smile, enjoy the moment, because it will be in the picture. Mm-hmm. Yeah, and really the expression is the key. Yeah, so I'm always advising the groom to be telling nice things to the bride. When he's whispering something into her ear or something. So just bring as much peace into the photo shoot, because I believe one of the pictures will end up on the wall. And what I want is, do you remember the time? It was fantastic. Yes.
Yeah.
So I'm trying to guide them, not like stand here, do this, don't move. Let's come over here. It will be nice over here. If you maybe stand like this, it will be great. And of course, yes, I'm trying to be functional on the details. You know, if the watch are visible, or if the jacket is right on the shirt, and all those things, because you know, most of the men forget how they look, and you know, they just end up with a loose jacket, and sometimes it's not very nice. So we look after these details as well as for the bride, because you know the dress sometimes is difficult to hold.
And as long as the clients know that that's how you work, that should work out great, because you'll get some great photos that way. And like you said, they're not always paying attention to the details. So.
Yes, it's really important. You know, if you want to get a really good picture, the next one on the cliff.
I'll get to that one here. There it is. Okay.
Yeah, that's the same couple, as you can see, in a totally different area. And this was quite a hard picture, because I was doing a scouting for this picture. And in the time I was watching the place, and I said, okay, this is going to be great, because, you know, it's a cliff, blah, blah, blah. But when we came there for the actual photo shoot, the level of the water was 2 meters higher.
Oh, no.
And I couldn't get to the exact point. Well, I got to the exact point, but I was all wet, unfortunately.
You forgot about the tide.
Yeah. But on the other hand, the sun moved into the place as it is. And it was quite strong, so I was really happy to have the big pro photo to get just enough light to see some of the face, because the light itself was really strong. So for me, this is a picture that I have a lot of things connected with. I believe it's also nice for the couple. But this one is more interesting from the technical side. That sometimes you do a perfect scouting, and then you come to the place and it's totally different.
Right, so you have to be able to adjust very quickly.
Yes. Because it is easy to get there for the bride and groom, and I couldn't say, oh, well, the water is higher, so we are not going to shoot it.
Exactly. So sorry we spent all that time coming here. We need to move again. No, you have to make it work. And
yes.
And whatever. You're right. This is a good technical lesson for other photographers too, to say you can properly light a very difficult lighting situation like this and have it turn out spectacular. It's just, you got to put in the time. You have to put in the time ahead of time. You can't be experimenting during the photo shoot. You have to know ahead of time exactly what to do.
Exactly.
Or at least be able to adjust quickly.
Yes, because I believe the clients are not my victims of my passion, and it's not my workshop. Right. You know, if it would be a couple that I hire, then yes, we're going to be trying a lot of things, you know, and I would be keeping them hours to get the right picture. But over here, we have 3, 2 minutes, 5 minutes, and we move on, because the wedding is going on, you know, the guests are waiting.
Yeah.
So I don't want to take...
I look at the next one, number 8. Go ahead. I love this one. I love the vertical composition in the foreground background, because it's always nice to see different levels and different depths in a photo, foreground, background, and to also have their expression like that is great.
It was a wonderful couple, and I was happy for the driver to allow me to stand on his front seat, so I can get the upper view overall through the rooftop, and it makes a nice framing for the couple. It separates, as you said, from the background. Although, to say, as you see on the left side of the building, it's actually on the parking lot. You know, it's not a really pretty place at all.
It's a riveting. It's a real photo.
It is. Yes. But the framing is fantastic, and yes, the expression is a huge bonus of the picture. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So sometimes you have to advise also the couple to put a little bit more effort in the picture, because if they would be just happy, it wouldn't turn out so good, I would say. Mm-hmm. But, you know, because it's the 3D into 2D, you are losing some of the things. So you have to sometimes put something extra in it, like a bigger smile, a little bit more emotion. So it's like with the makeup,
Sure.
You do the proper makeup, and one third is lost somewhere in translation between the camera and the paper.
Now, did you use any additional lighting here, or is this all ambient?
No, this is daylight.
All daylight, yeah. You're in a good spot there too for nice flat lighting. So look at number 9.
And of course, there's a bit of post-production doing of editing.
Of course. So number 9, you do a lot of umbrellas. It must rain a lot in Prague.
Well, this is in London. So yes.
Oh, you're right. There it is. I see London now. I see. Yeah.
So this is an engagement picture from the gentleman in London. Here's the speed light is quite obvious, of course, but it was just a bit of play time.
Sure.
And the lamps are heavily on, so you can see some balance between the land above them and them, so it's not that fake.
Mm-hmm. No, it's a nice photo. Good coloring, good toning, good placement, good composition. I like the lamp too. It's a very nice touch.
Yeah, thank you. Another one is from Scotland. I was doing a scouting for the place because I wanted to have some overview of the countryside. This was one of the places that I found. But again, you get to the place, you see, this is going to be fantastic. But then, when you get to the place on the day, it was super muddy on that place. So we had to carry the bike to the spot, put it there.
So she won't get too muddy.
Yes.
And
the sheep are great.
And I think also a good lesson for other photographers is yeah, I like the sheep as well. Is not every photographer would light this scene. Looks like you're using a speed light here.
Yes, it is.
A lot of photographers would not make that effort, and it's a particular look. Some people like the much more raw, much more natural, unlit look. But if you're looking for it's a different level. It's a different approach. Let me put it that way.
It is, yes.
Right, and it takes a certain amount of practice and expertise to be able to pull it off.
Yes, it is a bigger hustle to carry all the things. But it's a style.
Mm-hmm.
You can like it, you don't have to like it. It's not compulsory that you have to like it. It's just a style. If the bride likes it, I'm happy. And I will be happy to do it for her. So that's why we are so many great photographers, and everybody's got a different style. So the bride can choose according to their feelings.
Exactly. So I'm looking at number 11. Looks like this is the same bridge as before.
This is exactly. That's the most famous bridge in Prague, the Charles Bridge. But this is again the situation of the very bad weather. It was, when this is after the sunrise again, but it was really not pleasant to be at all. She's frozen, so we were with the jackets, and here, this is maybe the thing, when you are doing this shoot, you have to take care about the client, because most of the clients, they really don't know what they are doing. They said, this is going to be fun, 8 hours of shooting. But 8 hours of being a model,
it's hard work. It's very tiring, yeah.
So we do bring blankets, we do keep warm tea, we do this bad weather umbrellas, just to keep them as warm as possible or as happy as possible. And it's a big hassle for us as well, because we have to carry the light, the jackets, the makeup, and all the things. So there's
a lot of practical details you have to think about in advance to do a long shoot like that.
Yes, exactly. You have to just do a bigger preparation.
Yeah. And of course, to have the wet weather like that and the wet streets, you know how many Hollywood movies, when they're shooting at night, they will spray the streets with water because that's
Yes.
the intentional effect that they're trying to get, right? Trying to get the reflection of the water. So
Yes.
you'll
It's
see
romantic.
all these evening shots in Los Angeles where it never rains. They always have wet streets. Doesn't make any sense. That's right. Okay, let's look at the next one. Number 12. We've got two more, then we'll wrap it up.
So this one is for example, the candid light. There is nothing added. It's just a daylight as it is. No additional lighting. It's just as
the birds are really there?
it is. Yes, they were there. That's why is it, that's why is it picked. Because I have another 3-4 pictures when the birds are not yet there or when they are already gone. But so sometimes a good luck come to help you.
Mm-hmm.
And when you are ready, you click it and you have it.
Yeah.
So but this is.
I always say that's one of the things also that separates professionals from other photographers is they say, "Oh, that was a lucky shot." Well, in some sense, it was a lucky shot, and in some sense, it was because the professional could anticipate it and was prepared for it. So.
That's right. Yes. And again, when you know what you are doing with your camera, and it's much easier to be ready and capture it.
Very nice. Okay, let's look at one last one. Number 13.
Yeah, so this is from another pre-wedding session, and this couple they didn't know how to pose themselves, so it was much easier. But on the other hand, they were much harder on the selection of the photos and on all the the service around.
When you say they knew how to pose themselves, what do you mean?
You see that they didn't know how to do these things. Standardly, we teach them and we show them, but you see the man, he does know exactly how he wants to stand.
I see.
And the lady
they didn't need a lot of coaching that way.
Not at all. But they need a lot of other things. They need to be efficient, and they need to be super fantastic straight from the camera because they were used for a big cruise. Because she is a former model and she knew how it works.
That's why.
So the expectations were very high on me, because she was used to do them regular campaigns for modeling. So and being shot as a model or as a bride, those are still different things. Because when you are shooting a fashion, there is a lot of people around. One is looking on the dress, one is looking at the hair, one is looking at the makeup, one is looking at this, one is looking at this. There's a lot of people. Then you shoot the picture and the editor comes and says, okay, we can do this, we can trip it, we can move this. But over here, we have makeup assistant, lighting assistant, so we were free in the crew. But they were super happy with all the pictures. So,
yeah. It's true. Some clients are simply just more comfortable with the whole process than others, and it's up to you as the professional to either adapt to the way that they are or make them more comfortable. And some clients are simply easier than others. It's part of the job, right?
It is. But my part of the job is to make everybody as happy through the process as possible. Mm-hmm. And trust me, for example. This particular couple, they had a quite interesting issue on the beginning of a shoot. I don't want to go into the details, but the beginning of the shoot was, from some perspective, was really a nightmare because they got into the fight, and we really had to make a lot of effort to bring them down, to bring them into the, to the level that they were. Okay, we're gonna do this. We have some problems, that's fine, but still, I believe you are in love.
Yeah.
Let's go on. And it was a bit of psycho here.
Yeah.
There's
people have to remember on a wedding day, there's always pressure and there's always family issues, and sometimes those can impact moods and expressions, and it's a good photographer can help coach your clients to say,
Yes.
okay,
Yes.
we're going to put all that behind us. We're going to focus on the moment and do whatever you need to do to get the photo. But it can be a stressful time.
No, not at all. That's why, I have to be prepared everything from the craft. I have to know, and I have to not be worried about my things. My things must be 100% sure if my assistant gonna solve it, and I have to be for the client there. If they are in distress, no worries. Come on, it's gonna be all right.
Yeah.
Well, the dress is super. It doesn't matter that you fell during the ceremony. It's okay. Come on, we're gonna help you. Whatever. There is a lot of details. Oh, I'm cold. I'm stressed. Do you have something to drink? Yeah, always. We are ready with a bottle, with the water, or whatever else is needed.
Yeah.
Just to make them feel as good as possible. Because the wedding, talking of the wedding, is really a unique day in the life of man. And I love, and I really trying to do as much as possible for the clients to enjoy the wedding. Because if they don't enjoy the wedding, well, then the pictures will still not be the best.
Yeah.
But when they enjoy the wedding, then they see the connection, and then they feel it in the picture. And then after years, when they look at the picture on the wall, they said, hey, do you remember the wedding day? That was fantastic. It was a lot of fun and all those things. And that's the reason why I'm happy to be a wedding photographer. So just to help the people really enjoy the day, not to put more stress on them the other way. Take as much stress from them as possible. So they just, they can fly through the wedding, and we capture all the details.
Yeah.
No worries.
Yeah, as a wedding photographer, you don't want to be the one contributing to the stress of the wedding. You want to take it away.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Not at all.
Well,
but sometimes you do have to.
Fantastic place to end it. Thanks for that closing statement on why you're a wedding photographer. It really is a special profession and an honor and a privilege to be able to serve these clients and give them something that lasts forever for them. So.
Yes, of course.
So before we close, why don't you go ahead and just let us know how can people see more of your work or get in touch with you?
Right. The easiest way is to find me on the internet on pelucha.com or pelucha.cz. For the Czech photographers, I am running English version of my web and Czech version of my web as well. But if you go to pelucha.com, I believe you will find the link under the video. You can find all the other links to the Instagram Pelucha Photography, to the Facebook Pelucha Photography, and all the other things you would need if you need.
Fantastic. Well, thanks very much, Peter, and we'll add all that contact information when we post this up on YouTube later. So
thank you, Joe.
Can find you. So thanks so much. Really appreciate it.
It was my pleasure.
Okay. Talk to you soon.
Thank you. And have a good day. Bye-bye.